All right, folks, we are back. It is another episode of Fresh Juice. I'm one of your hosts, Tommy Fresh, and you are all of my friends, and I forgot which podcast I was doing for a second. You're all my buds still, but we are joined, as always, it is my co-host. It is...
Matty Juice. Matty Juice. What's going on, everybody? We're back. You know, it might have seemed like we were only gone a week, but we've actually been gone 2 weeks IRL time. So got a good amount to catch up on, you know?
We sure do. Do. We're happy to be here. You know, it has been a long 2 weeks, and I've been itching to hop back on the mics and, you know, really get into it. Let's just catch up. What have you been up to, dude?
Well, you know what? What have you been up to? I feel like you got more that you've been up to, Tom. What has happened? What's different between the last episode and this episode?
I got married.
Oh,
yeah. Had the old matrimonial ceremony. I guess is what you call it, but it was a good time. It's funny. It's been so long. I gotta look at my calendar to see what I've been up to. Yeah, got my haircut on the 20th, and then had a wedding. That was cool. And then wedding was awesome. It was a good time. Good times had by all. Nobody got too drunk and tried to sleep with my sister. That was cool. And
good.
Everybody was well behaved, but it was a good time. We had a lot of fun. I hope everybody had a lot of fun, and we had one banger of a best man speech, that's for sure. And
it was some loser.
It was so sick, and there's a lot to talk about there, but honestly, it was a fun time. Very happy. The suits looked slick. We did like a green with a purple bolo. I had a vest with a black bolo, but the boys had a purple bolo, no vest. And my now former employee gave me a wedding beer, which was very cool. A beer that I requested, a certain style. It was a mango pale ale, and boy, was that tasty. That was a good beer. We sucked that one down. We hacked away at those pet kegs. I'll tell you that much. And, geez, I don't know what else there is to say about it other than it was a great time. And I mean, you were there. How did you have fun?
It was awesome. It was a great time. You know, the rehearsal dinner and then the wedding itself. A lot of fun. The beer was great. Really good, you know, solid stuff there. And food was great. Everything was awesome. You know, I had a blast, and was happy to get this, you know, I was happy to do the speech, but also happy that it was over because it's like, I don't like public speaking in general. But no, it was a fun time. It was awesome. And I think everybody had a good time. It seemed like everyone had a blast, especially shout out to our buddy Matt. Not me.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Matt, because you had a great time.
He had
a real good time.
Blast. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
He was humming ending, and I'll tell you that. And it was a good time. Very, very happy. Went away for a couple days after, which was nice. Went up to like Woodstock, New York, and just chilled. Ate ungodly amounts of food, to be honest. I was like, there were so many good restaurants out there that like, let's try this one tonight. Let's try this one. We'll get some breakfast here, blah, 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 blah. And every single time I sat down, I was like, well, I got to try all these different things. And I hated myself, but not too much. It was a great time. And honestly, then it was Thanksgiving, and we had our annual family football game. My finger still hurts from that. Hurt myself a little bit, but you know what? In the grand scheme of things, only having a hurt finger, not too bad. The football game went well. Just throwing the ball around, and then I went to my Aunt Gail's for Thanksgiving, which was nice. A lot of people there, a lot of food, more eating. It was just a lot of eating this past week. And yeah, what the hell else happened? We had Friendsgiving
Oh yeah.
with your crew. That was a lot of fun. We went to a brewery and then a bar. That was cool. It was Bags' fiance's birthday too, so we got to celebrate that there. That was neato. And geez, what the heck? Oh, then it was just like kind of like organizing the past
Yeah.
2 days for us because now it's Monday, and it was like organizing the house and like trying to just like make sense of it all, and we're like, oh, we gotta do this, and that's crazy. But most importantly, this is something I mentioned to you aside from the podcast, and I want to hear all about what you've been up to. But most importantly, besides what either of us have going on, is that the Costco guys and the Rizzler made an appearance on AEW Wrestling. For those of you who don't know, AEW is kind of like a tier below WWE. I'm not a big wrestling fan, but the Rizzler gets involved. I gotta know what's happening. For those who don't know who the Rizzler is, well, where have you been, and why don't you know? It's a child who makes a really funny face and is a meme. And then the Costco guys are a father-son duo that go to Costco. And they like things from Costco, but they've kind of created this universe of different creators, and it's all very weird and strange. But to see it all play out in a world that was not TikTok or Instagram was incredible. To see, first of all, the dad, Big AJ, Big Boom AJ, I think is his name.
Yeah, that's it. Legally. Yeah.
He was the one wrestling. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, they had a Rizzler cam where they would pan over to the Rizzler and he would just make the face for whatever reason. It was truly bizarre. And then at one point you think, this is a spoiler alert, pause now and go watch it if you want. But at one point you think that the dad's going to die and not die. lose the wrestling match, and then Jesus Christ, and then Big Justice, AJ's son, of the well-known Costco guys, pops into the ring and like dives on a full adult other wrestler, and kind of saves his dad and goes crazy. He's like, boom, boom, and everybody in the crowd's going crazy. It was nuts. Like, I don't care about wrestling, and this is almost the antithesis, not the antithesis, maybe like the whole point of wrestling is that it's supposed to be this crazy, but you don't really realize how crazy it is when like the professionals are doing it. But once you get like that stuff in, you're like, oh, this is like truly bizarre entertainment. And it's actually really I enjoyed the hell out of it. So yeah, anyway, your thoughts and what have you been up to?
Wow. Yeah, no, I did see clips of that fight. And yeah, it's definitely honestly when I first saw it, I was just like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? Like this is a thing. But no, Costco guys, they mesmerize me. I feel like whenever I see them on my feed, even if it's a live stream, I just have to like tap in for at least a few minutes and just see the chat and see terrible things being said. But these guys just brush it off and they just boom or doom, That's what they do. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get comments now saying I tuned in for a indie game review, not to be talked about the Costco guys to death. But
yeah, that's happened before.
It's the indie game universe.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But yeah, as far as what I did, I was off of work, which is nice for like a week or so. The week of Thanksgiving, all the stuff you said, or most of it, I was there as well. What else did I do? Let's see.
For Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, different for Thanksgiving. Yep, we had my in-laws over and my sister-in-law and brother-in-law over, and then my parents came over a little bit later. So that was fun. It was chill. It was like it was Pluto's our dog. For those who don't know, first like Thanksgiving. So he was actually pretty well behaved. We had him in the crate for a good amount of time, but when he came out, he was all right. And Yeah, then we had some play dates with him too. Met a few other dogs, our buddy Kevin and Allison's dog, Sandy. So that was a lot of fun. That was like the first time he actually got to like go nuts with like another dog, and we just let him run around like the backyard. Then he met another dog. Yeah, we did some training classes, a lot of dog stuff. He's going into his third training class on Saturday this week. But yeah, it's been going well. It's kind of wild, like our training instructor, it's like a group class, so it's not one-on-one, but he's got great reviews on like Google, but the people that leave the bad reviews are like, you can understand why those bad reviews were left because he is just like very blunt
Mm.
and just like, he's like, don't be a damn idiot. Like that's like how like he like says that stuff, but he's really right about like a lot of things. And then whenever it comes to like the dogs itself, he's just like, melts into like a puddle. But it seems like he's probably had a lot of, uh, you know, um, pet owners, dog owners that like, you know, either don't take his advice and then think like he screwed up or whatever it is, or just like try to argue with him about like what to do. But really, from what we've had to do, like he gives us homework, like literally like it's got like a curriculum, and
Mhm.
it's like homework of like this is what you need to do this week because the dog isn't going to learn on himself, obviously. So it's not like we learn everything in the class and that's the only time we do it. So that's been an adjustment. Like every day, I need to like I take him for a walk and then I come back and I have to do like these weird like drills with him. Like today I sat for 15 minutes in a folding chair next to him while he had his leash on and just stepping on his leash so that he would lay down, but I'm not allowed to touch him for 15 minutes. So I had to sit there and just scroll like Twitter on my phone in the middle of my living room while he just laid down. And he's like looking at me like, what the hell are we doing? Like we got the leash on in the house. Like what's going on? But it's everything he's taught us so far seems to be working. Or at least like I can see the progress, which is really cool. So yeah, just kind of the first time going to like any sort of pet training or anything like that. Um, and we also found out that it seems like when you go to dog training, that's when all of your other friends that have dogs say, "Oh, we went to training too." But like before that, they kind of make it seem like, "Oh, my dog was just like this, like from the beginning." Like there's like yesterday we had like he had like a play date with this dog Bowie, who is she's like super well behaved, like she's like great with little kids and like probably like the most well behaved dog I've ever seen. They never mentioned that she like went to training or anything for that. All the compliments that we would give her, they just be like, "Oh yeah, she's great, right?" And then we go to training, and then now we find out they're like, "Oh, they went to training too, but we went to training." Just like Jesus, you're making us like feel like idiots. Like our dogs, like wow, we got the dog that like is chewing every goddamn thing it can find, books and everything. We're like, how did all these other dogs get so lucky? But anyway, it's training.
Everybody. I
That's
mean,
the secret.
listen, I
Yeah.
had a dog. He's still here with me, right up there. His ashes are up there. Now, morbidities aside,
Yep.
I did some training with the dog. Didn't really work. He's dead. No. No. Um, no.
Jeez.
I paid a trainer a nice chunk of change, to help train, and we had one class, and I think the same thing happened. Here's some things you need to do. And then I didn't do them, and I never followed up on more classes. So I paid for 5 classes and only got one. So more power to you. I think that's great. I think that it's a really good thing, especially if you're going to keep on it. Now, I know you and your wife are very responsible, unlike me. That's why I don't have a dog anymore. Well, that's not why I don't have another. That's why I don't have another dog. He died from natural causes. I swear to God, that makes me look terrible. But yeah, I think that's I don't know. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
good. The trainer sounds a little bit like a dog Nazi,
Yeah, a
so I
little
think
bit.
that's
Yeah.
good though, right? They need that
Yeah.
because they don't know the difference between like strict
Yeah.
and loosey goosey, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, for sure. Also, cue the comments 15 minutes in. I'm 15 minutes in and I don't want to hear about your dead dog.
Anyway, we have some indie
Yeah.
game news. We'll get right into it. And the biggest news of all, for those who want to comment in real time, come hop into the Discord, folks. The Fresh Juice Discord's a great place to hang out. And just you can berate us. You can do whatever you want. Listen, I just take it, right? I get a lot of abuse online, and I am very good at just taking it. So if you want to do that to me, come on in. Don't do it to Matt though. Just me.
Just I'll watch. Yeah.
He likes watching.
Also, sorry, you just gave me you gave me a good idea, but it's about something you said before this. The last thing. But because you said that people could comment live, right, if they join the Discord, which obviously isn't true. Like, we're recording this outside the Discord. But how cool would it be? And listeners, I want to know if this is something that you think would be cool. If somehow we live streamed our episodes only to our Discord so that the people in the Discord got the show 2 days early.
That would be
I don't know.
That'd be pretty sick.
There's rare occasions where we need to like edit anything out. We just kind of go right through, So, I don't know. But anyway, just an interesting idea. I was like, oh, maybe that's something the Discord people would be interested in, and another reason to join the Discord.
I was also thinking for a second, like, we could also set the episode to be a premiere on YouTube, but then again, we also launch it at 5 a.m. in the morning. So I'm not waking up for that, and I don't think anybody else is. That's 5 a.m. Eastern time. So for our Pacific listeners, that's like, you might just be going to bed, but stay up, Oh, Fresh Juice is on. But anyway, listen. Solitude is the best Balatro-like yet. Or at least that's what they're trying to say. What is this game?
Yeah, so this is an interesting article for two reasons. One, obviously, like the name Solitude just intrigues me, and then also the fact they called this a Balatro-like. So two kind of different things there. First off, Solitude looks to be essentially, a solitaire roguelike in many ways, like how Balatro is a poker roguelike. But you can actually play it for free in your browser right now. It is coming to Steam soon. I'm unsure on the price for Steam, but I don't know. It just looked really interesting to me. It definitely doesn't have like kind of the vibe of like how Balatro kind of looks like a poker board, right? Or a poker table. Kind of gets those vibes a bit. This one, more pixelated, kind of has a dark, like medieval sort of vibe to it, which looks pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know, just a little bit of the gameplay I've seen, it seemed kind of interesting, and it also kind of made me think: is that a term we're going to hear more often? Balatro likes, right? Especially with it being nominated for Game of the Year. I think if it wins Game of the Year, it's guaranteed we're going to see Balatro likes more often in the world. Even though I don't think personally, is a Balatro like just a card game roguelike? Is that basically what a Balatro is? A Balatro like is, because in that case it's just a roguelike. But anyway, just kind of interesting. Two little interesting topics here. What do you think about Solitude, Tom?
Well, look, I think it looks sick, and I actually have it all keyed up on my desktop. I'm going to be playing it later, that's for sure. And giving it an old fair shake to see, well, listen, is it as good as Balatro? Listen, I just beat all the gold stakes on my phone. I've beaten all the gold stakes and everything on the Switch for Balatro, and now I'm finishing the last, I have to do Jokerless challenge on my phone.
Damn.
And then I have to get all the gold stake stickers on all the Jokers on my phone. So I still have some time with the phone Balatro, and then I'll move to desktop. But listen, I'm all for it. I don't know if I think Balatro like is actually going to be like a legitimate type of like a genre of game. I think that the reality is it's like, because Balatro is unique, right? It has a lot of roguelike elements, right? It is, but it's not like a true roguelike. It's not like a true deck builder either, right? It's more of a deck modifier, if anything. You know, you can add stuff and build stuff, but like the jokers are what makes the runs hum, right? So I'm interested to see what this means, and I think that the genre is more, hey, let's take classic card games, not even just like a card game, classic 52 card games, and add this modifier skin to it and see what we can do. We got it with Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers, the blackjack one, which is like a little bit different, but has some similarities to Balatro. This Solitude seems close to Balatro as well. But I think you're right. If Balatro wins Game of the Year, I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. I would be so sick. Which I think that's this week, right?
It is the 12th,
oh, 12th
I believe. Next week. Yeah, next week. I think on Friday.
Oh, Friday. If it's Friday, holy smokes, I might be.
Yeah, let me
see to watch that. But anyway, if Balatro wins, that would be insane. I think the fact that it's already nominated, it's going to make a lot of waves. We're going to see a lot of similar games, because the reality is people are just playing it more, right? I'm even getting on TikTok, I'm getting movie creator, or like not movie creators, like movie reviewers, content creators that I watch sometimes will come on. It's like, I don't want to talk about movies today because I just downloaded this game, Balatro, because I heard it was nominated for Game of the Year. And 6 hours later, I'm still playing it in the dark, in the corner of my room, yada, yada, yada. And I think that's pretty sick. I think it's going to reach more people that have creative power. And I think that we'll see a lot of that. Now, the question is, Matthew.
Yes.
Are we going to see our first AAA Balatro-like?
Oh my God. I don't know. I could honestly see like Grand Theft Auto 6 having like a Balatro like in the game. You know, that like you could play, because I just feel like that's like right up its alley to do like something like
Witcher
that.
Has
but
Gwent and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. That'd be pretty wild. That would be such a compliment to Local Thunk, you know? Yeah. That would be nuts.
I mean, I can't really see it happening, but if anyone can pull it off, it's gonna be Nintendo.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Nintendo is. Listen, you can hem and haw about Nintendo all you want, but they are the king of power-ups, right? Every game has sick power-ups. And this is Balatro has sick jokers that are basically power-ups. You can power up your cards, yada yada yada. And you throw that on the Mario Luigi scheme.
Game over.
That's game of the year.
Teaching kids how to gamble. That's how we do it.
Yeah, but anyway. Pretty sick. Solid Tomb looks awesome.
Yeah, also Game Awards are on Thursday next week. It is the 12th. It's just a Thursday. Yeah. So
I'm busy that night.
Not a Friday. Damn.
Yeah, I'll be watching my phone.
Okay. Yeah. I'll let you know. I'll post in the Fresh Juice Discord if Balatro wins. I'll just go nuts.
That'd be so
Tag
sick.
Everyone. Yeah.
Folks, it's gonna be the hypest thing ever. Listen, if that happens the week after, since it's Christmas, we might just re-release our Balatro review.
Right. True. See, we were right the whole time. Yeah. Certified Fresh Juice.
I'm sure people are sick of us talking about it, but I love it. So it's not leaving this zeitgeist yet. Anyway, gameplay. For what?
Yeah.
You might be asking. Dungeon Clawler. Another roguelike deck builder-esque thing going on. Well, I guess what it is a roguelike claw machine deck builder. It just entered early access. It is developed by Stray Fawn Studio and published by Strathon Publishing and Playworks. It is on Steam, iOS, and Android for $9.99, and there's
there
the
it
music.
is.
If we'll get to that. $9.99 and 10% off until December 5th. And I think it was a little bit cheaper on iOS. I don't remember because I did play it there, but I don't remember what I bought it for. Anyway. Build your deck, grab weapons and items from the claw machine to battle enemies, discover powerful perks that create game-changing synergies, and unleash crazy combos as you fight your way through the dungeon. Now, this is similar in the way of combat to Slay the Spire, right? You have your character on the left. You have a couple different characters you can pick from, and they all have different kinds of synergies and things that are better with them, and just deck pieces that are going to make your runs feel a little bit different, and certain pieces in the claw machine will feel better in those heroes or characters. And you're on the left, enemies are on the right. You see the enemies' intent above their head, a lot like Slay the Spire. And the way you attack and block and do other things is you have a claw machine. And the claw machine has a myriad of things. Your deck, which is basically just the things that you can pick up in the claw machine. And it's pretty fun. So you have, just to kind of start off, right, before you kind of get into the weeds of what this game really is, you have swords and shields in there. And some shields are smaller, some shields are bigger, some swords are smaller, some are bigger, but that's just natural, folks. That's okay. But,
I was wondering if you were going to say that.
So anyway, so you grab them, and then as they go through, you will basically do the thing that it is when it hits your guy, right? Whatever comes out of the box. Now, that is pretty much how the gameplay works, and you are going to go through, and much like Slay the Spire or other deck builder, roguelike, dungeon crawlers, you are going to add new cards or things to your deck, and they're all going to have different kinds of abilities and different synergies. And even some like different physics, right? There is certain like perks you can get that will give you, will fill your, what do they even call it? The machine?
Claw machine?
Yeah. They just call it the machine. They fill it with water. So certain things will float to the top. Some things will sink to the bottom. And maybe you want the stuff that sinks to the bottom, or maybe you want something that is on top. And then there's also things that can electrify that water and turn the certain deck items that you have in there into a little bit more potent when you're attacking your opponent. So it's really got all the makings of a great deck builder, but it doesn't feel like a card game, right? It feels like you're actually just playing a claw machine, which is, listen, we've all played them. We played them at the boardwalk or at any arcade, and they are rigged. That is for sure. This does not feel rigged, but it does still have the same kind of finicky kind of thing with the actual claw. So in a different twist to other deck builder roguelikes, this has a certain level of skill. I don't know if that's the right word, but like you have to plan out how you're trying to grab the things in here. But I'll be honest with you, I really enjoyed this gameplay. It's fun, rewarding. It's reinventing the wheel a little bit, right? It's unique, and I think that it doesn't change too much from your traditional, just kind of Slay the Spire like, right, where you have the same kind of progression and the same way you kind of add perks and cards and relics or whatever. And I just found myself just like, wow, all right, this is just a good roguelike, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I'm gonna continue to play it. And I love this on mobile. That was such a great move. But what do you think
Mhm.
about the gameplay here?
Yeah, just a note about mobile too. It's only $5 on Android and iOS, so
Yeah.
half price basically on mobile versus Steam. But um, yeah, I think overall, I enjoyed the gameplay as well. To be honest, like going into it after doing like the first few encounters, I was like, all right, this is like more of just an auto battler, and I feel like it doesn't even matter what I pick up. But then as you progress and things get a little bit more complicated, enemies get a little stronger. You start running into different types of encounters. It really does like have this nice charm to it, where it just kind of like you said, it almost involves a little bit more strategy or skill in order to like get certain things done because you have to, you know, should you swing your claw and try to go in at a certain angle, or should like how are you exactly going to pick up what you need? Because it's not guaranteed that whatever you're going to go on to obviously will end up um, you know being sent to your character for them to use. So it does have that kind of, like you said, like finickiness of like the claw, but obviously, I would say it's a lot more reliable because obviously you need to get things. Like it would be a bad game if it was like real life where like everything basically fell out of the claw. Uh, so yeah, I think overall I did enjoy the gameplay after a few encounters. Um, you know, I wasn't too sure like even what it meant by deck, right? It says deck on the right side, and I'm like, "Well, what is that?" I'm like, "Oh, those are like the items that I have available, or that I can have available when like it draws and places things in the machine itself." And you can add to that. You can get some cool perks, like you mentioned. You can get some really interesting items that you can drop in there that really kind of like they really do make a difference. Like I kept like I had like a few magnets, which is great because it pulls in all of the metal items like your swords and everything. So you can just pick up a ton of damage at once if you want to. As long as things fall into the right place. So that was great. My issue in the beginning with the gameplay was there's not really like a tutorial. So I just kind of got thrown and maybe I missed it. Maybe there was like an option on the menus, but it should know that I'm a new player regardless, I guess. But I didn't know like I had no idea. I never I know we took a look at this game a while ago because I think Capolo in
Mhm.
the Discord had recommended it. So I looked at the gameplay then, but it's just been a while. So I didn't remember exactly how it works. I'm like clicking around the screen, not knowing exactly what to do. And I'm like, oh, like I need to use like WASD or like the arrow keys to like move um, the claw. And so I figured that out. And then you get into like after the encounter when you're trying to choose the next encounter. That part, I was on that screen for like 2 full minutes because I was like clicking. I'm like, "What do I need to do?" I was like, "I don't know how to get into the next room." And I'm an idiot because you have to use the arrow keys or WASD there. Now, I do wish that on those screens where you're choosing the encounters, that you could just click on them, or maybe they give you like you can hover over them with the mouse to get a little tooltip to tell you like what this is, but you can't click on it to enter that room. You have to actually like physically move your character over in order to like go in the room. That was just one little thing, and I know the game's early access, so obviously they could um, fix that. But that was just like one little thing that was weird to me, where I'm like, well, I don't know what this icon is, so let me use my mouse and go and hover over it to see what it is. Oh, it's this. Yeah, I want to do this, and then I can't just click on it. I have to go back on my keyboard and like move my character over it, and then I can enter. I just kind of thought that was like a little bit of a weird choice. Maybe just give us both options, the ability to do both, if we want to. But yeah, that was just kind of a weird thing. Not game breaking or anything at all. It just it'd be nice to get a little explanation. And that's the thing with early access games too, is they typically don't have a good onboarding or a good like tutorial. So I'm sure that's something they'll probably add in at some point. But really, really like good foundation here though
Mhm.
for a solid game that you know I think like for example like the water, like some of the stuff you mentioned, I did not have those. Like I didn't even I knew the water was a thing. I didn't know about the electricity like in the water. So I'm sure there's like a lot more that like I can discover through this game, which is really fun to think about just because it is a claw machine, right? So the whole idea is that like you're I don't know, you're kind of like you feel like you're like not discovering something, but like taking something out of its like environment and you're like, "Oh, this is mine now." So I don't know, it just kind of reminds me of like the actual claw machines and like how much fun they can be when you win. And this one, it's kind of similar, especially going up against like some of the bosses I fought were like pretty hefty, like health. So I had to figure out like it was fun trying to figure out what exactly I need to pull up in order to actually defeat them. So yeah, excited to play more of this one. For sure. I am interested in the mobile version as well. Now, I've just a question gameplay wise with the mobile version. Are you just dragging your finger to select where the claw goes and kind of swiping down, or are there controls on the screen?
You have like I think three options of controls. You can do the swipe, and then like you press a button to send it down. You can do the
Okay.
swipe and then like double tap to send it down, and then I think there was like a buttons option as well, which I was just doing the swipe and like the just like the kind of signifier button on the
Yeah.
side. But yeah, I think it worked pretty well on mobile. I mean, like it's I think probably. I mean, we'll talk about when we get to the art. Like it doesn't really need something pretty intense, and I think that the mobile is probably the way to go if I were to recommend this game.
Hmm.
But I will say, like you know, there's a lot of positives here. My only worry is, will it be as deep as some people look for in the game? I think there's probably the possibility here, but there is like some kind of RNG to this game with like just the fact that you have to pick up these items to use them, and I worry that the diehards might not really love this as much as a more casual roguelike fan, but I think that's still like going to be pretty fun, at least initially for most fans. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think you make a good point there too. I feel like this actually might attract like the auto battler
Hmm.
audience a bit more just because really at the end of the day all you're doing is right moving a claw and then having it go down and whatever happens happens. Like, you can't really like change it after that fact. You're not playing different cards or anything like that. You're not even choosing what's going into the claw machine really. It just kind of randomly will get added in there from your deck. Yeah, it's most of the time, right? It's just auto battling. You're not really having to think, I guess, too much after the claw goes down. So um, yeah, you definitely bring up a good point. But yeah, curious to see also, I don't remember the last time a game was released in early access on Steam and on mobile
Yeah.
too. So I'm curious to know like what is the mobile audience going to think of this sort of game? Is it are they going to is this going to be a good time killer? Right, that's the whole thing with mobile. Is that people generally I think want like time killer games. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see kind of what updates they make to this one. But yeah,
Yeah.
good points. So
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one to watch. Now, story wise, I mean, you got some character design here, which kind of goes into the art, but like the characters you play as definitely have a lot of character and like, but there's not a lot of dialogue or anything like that, so nothing to really speak of on that front. I'm sure there's going to be more of that as it develops more throughout early access. At least I hope so. But
mm,
the story is you're from what I could tell anyway, unless I missed something, is you're going through a dungeon. I think like 20 levels of dungeons, or maybe just five, or I forget how many levels there are, but and you're fighting
yeah,
through
20.
enemies. Yeah, oh, it's 20. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and you are fighting through it with this claw machine thing. I keep on wanting to call it a dungeon clawler, but that's just the name of the game. So, but yeah, no real story to speak of. But wasn't really expecting much here.
Yeah, same here. Wasn't expecting too much. It would be kind of cool if they tied a story in throughout early access a little bit, kind of like how Slay the Spire is. Um, But yeah, wasn't really looking for too much. I'd love to see a some sort of tie-in with Toy Story though. Right?
Yeah.
Or something like that, little expansion, that'll add to the Toy Story canon there. But yeah, no real story from my side either.
Yeah, and then I think there is some stuff to talk about here with the art. It's not its strong suit. However, I will say it looks exactly like it needs to, right?
Mm.
It's very cutesy and very basic. The icons are neat, but I actually think they could probably be a little bit nicer. I don't know. I mean, it's just uh very flash gamey, which I'm not a
Mhm.
huge fan of that, right? It I don't really get nostalgic for that kind of flash gamey stuff, like when we were like the early 2000s playing a lot of that, but um, it makes sense why they're able to kind of launch it on mobile at the same time. It's not a very demanding game. Uh, I imagine, and this is early access, but there's a lot of content in here, so I imagine that it's really game balancing they're working on, and hopefully some more uh like work on the aesthetic side, which would be nice. So, um, yeah, it's a little one note the art, but it's not anything abhorrent. It's cute. It is cute, but it's not. I don't think it's what it could be. To be honest, I think that it leaves a little bit to be desired.
I'm with you there. Yeah, I definitely got flash game vibes when I was playing this one, and we just this actually our video technically froze of the game right here, but we're
Hmm.
talking about the art, so it's kind
Yeah.
of perfect. Just a little screenshot there, but um, I agree. It wasn't anything that like wowed me. I actually had some issues with like the UI. I thought it could be like bigger, like the health bar. I mean, even just looking at this screenshot, like the health bars could easily be bigger. Like make them feel a little bit more part of the UI versus like the gameplay, if that makes sense. Even just like above the enemies, it'll show like whether they're going to attack or what their next intention is. Even if that was a little bit bigger, I think that would be great. And then even I don't know, I had a few issues. Maybe this is more on the performance side, but like the tooltips sometimes wouldn't show up right away. I'd have to like scroll off and then scroll back on, and then it would show up. So I don't know if they're a little finicky. Maybe that can be handled art wise. Um, maybe just show it on screen of what it is, so I don't have to hover over it. I don't know, but that's not really a big issue. And then even the deck, like just having that a little bit larger, maybe the perks a little bit larger. I just kind of felt like, obviously the focus is on the claw machine itself, but everything else I just felt like could be a little bit more like in focus and a little bit bigger, basically overall. Um, uh, especially I don't know if it's an issue on mobile. I mean, I'm playing on PC, and I was like thinking that. So, I think on mobile if things are a little bit larger too. That probably would help. Um, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, art's very flash gamey. The character design is cool though. I like the enemy design. I like the characters you get to choose. Like they're interesting, kind of looking. They're not very like cookie cutter. I would say in general, but and even like the items that you get, they're not the most interesting sometimes. It's swords and shields and hammers, but then you get some cool looking ones, that you definitely want to, try to get. So yeah, I think the art is all right, but it definitely, I honestly, not to bring up Balatro again, but Balatro is just, it's just poker, right? But like it looks so good. Like every little detail is really well done, and it like every animation is just super well done as well. So I don't know, maybe there's something they could do there animation wise. Maybe when your character is getting the items, like there's some cool like art that happens, or like it's like swallowing it or something. I don't know. um or like hitting, like if it's a sword, it's hitting it over at the enemy, something like that could be kind of cool. uh but anyway, yeah, art wise it's all right.
Yeah, and I do think that there's a lot of opportunity here. the cool thing about this game is you have multiple characters, and the characters all have a claw, right? And that's what
Mhm.
your claws look like. You get 2 claws per turn, basically. So, um, and it is cool when you see a different character. Like there's like a pirate one that has like a harpoon claw.
Mhm.
That's what your claw looks like in the claw machine as well as on your character, which is really sweet,
Mhm.
right? There's a lot more opportunity there, I think, to kind of explore that. That's like a really unique thing about how this game looks. So I hope that they do, and maybe there's more to it in throughout the game that like I haven't unlocked, but
Yeah.
from what I've seen, it looks cool when you get to that point. But like, w- explore that a little bit more, and I think you're gonna be really happy with it. So,
Yeah.
now,
And
yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry. And if you wanna do that, you add Santa Claus. There you go, as a character, and it's maybe his hands coming down, something like that, you know?
Oh, and you get a
Um,
Futurama uh kind
yeah.
of collab, get the clamps, and
Yeah.
oh man, that'd be sick. Now,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to lean on you for telling us how this game sounds, because I was playing mobile, and because I didn't have a lot of time this week, understandably. So I was playing in bed next to my sleeping wife, and I don't know why I said that with such malice. My goddamn
She's
sleeping
gotta
wife.
sleep when I'm trying to
How
play.
dare
Yeah.
she go to sleep? No, it's absolutely adorable, but I couldn't really like pop on the sound really, or I just chose
Mhm.
not to, just in case it woke her up. So, how does this game sound?
Yeah, I wrote down, like, during the encounters, it has kind of a carnival dubstep-y kinda
Okay.
sound to it, which I didn't mind. Like, I thought it was, like, interesting. It fit the kind of the theme, right, of the game, with it being, like, a game that you typically would find at places like that. Um, so, yeah, I didn't mind that. I will say, like, during the floor, in between the encounters, when you're on the floor choosing the next, encounter, that music drove me crazy. It's like a high pitched, like creepy, like I don't even remember the rhythm of it. But just imagine just like like it just is like over and over again. And that was driving me a little nuts. But to be fair, I did like alt tab to go do something else. So I was on the floor for probably longer than the average person would be. But you know, still, there could be people that are taking a good while to decide on which room to go after. It would be great if the music, I don't know, that part just kind of bothered me a little bit. But most of the time, you're in the encounters, and yeah, it has a good vibe to it overall. I wouldn't say it's anything that like I would look forward to the soundtrack for. But I could see people, saying, "Oh, that's like Dungeon Clawler's music."
Hmm.
I could see, it's got a little bit of personality there, but it's you know, um, it's better than the art. I'd rank it above the art, but it's not that much higher above the art, I guess you could say. So yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
Listen, I believe
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
and you all
good.
should believe him too. How does this game perform? Now, you played on Steam, I played on mobile. I think it was a. I didn't run into any issues on mobile, to be honest. I mean, I don't really ever like a game that makes it onto the App Store. I think needs to be like not totally fine. Like obviously sometimes you have these random game breaking bugs, but I didn't run into any.
Mhm.
There is a little bit of touchscreen wonkiness, but
Mhm.
um, that was also me getting used to the controls, I would say. And once I didn't notice it after I got used to the controls.
Gotcha. Yeah, as far as on Steam, ran fine. I had that weird issue I mentioned earlier where like sometimes the tooltips wouldn't show the first time I like hovered over it and then they would afterwards. That's not a huge deal. And it is, it's for early access, it's runs great, but it's not a very intensive game either. So yeah, no issues performance wise from me.
Sweet. Well, that's going to
Yeah.
bring us to our rating. Our ratings are as follows. The highest tier is certified fresh juice. These are reserved for Balatro, Things like I would even call Arco, a game we didn't review, a certified fresh juice. I really like that game. I'm just thinking about it. And A tier is your kind of it's a steal. So things we'd say that's a steal for the price. Pepper Grinder's a great example. Get on sale after that. There's a lot of games that kind of fall into this category. It's kind of your middle of the road on sale. You might want to check it out. And then there's Manager Special after that, which is a maybe if it's a deep discount or free to play, or you're just really into the genre. We didn't particularly enjoy it, but there might be some value there. And then finally, no value is Spoiled Milk. Now, Matt, what is your rating for Dungeon Clawler?
All right, so in its early access debut, I am giving Dungeon Clawler a high on sale. So I did enjoy the gameplay. As I mentioned, that's the part I liked the most. But I just think some of the other parts were like weak enough for me to knock it down from a steal. It was never really in like the certified fresh juice territory as I was playing. But it's early access, and I think it could easily get bumped up to a steal. Really excited to see what else they can do with it. I will be playing more of it. I just think some of the other parts of the game, either aren't there yet or just were a little lackluster. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. What about you, Tom?
So I'm a little bit higher on the game. I'm pretty impressed with how much content this has as an early access game, and the fact that it came out on mobile and it's working totally fine, and it's offering a good experience on both. So I'm gonna give it a solid steal. I don't think it'll ever eclipse that, to be honest. I think that where it's at, like if they redid the art, I think maybe it could creep into the closer to the certified fresh juice. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that's realistic for it to happen. This is not the Sonic movie, and I think and I wouldn't want them to do it either, to be honest, because it is charming to what they have, and it's very unique. So I think that the gameplay really carries this game, and the fact that the other supporting cast isn't really there as much for me, I don't think actually hamstrings the gameplay at all, because I think not the hamstrings, they need to be stretched out. You feel me? The gameplay is a lot of fun, and it's a great loop, and it plays to the strengths of the deck builder roguelike dungeon crawler, as well as doing something unique. And I think that is a solid steal, I think, and for the price, I really don't think it's that bad at all. So
yeah,
check it out.
Yeah, check it. And thanks, Capolo, for the suggestion. You suggested that a while ago too, so it's been on our list. Glad we can get to it.
Shout out Capolo, the Swiss Prophet, the Notorious B.I.G. Next week, we don't know what we're playing yet. We got a couple on our wish list that we're going to see what happens when they come out, because they'll come out the same day, and we'll make a decision then. But it's going to be a really interesting conversation regardless. We got listener questions, though, folks. If you didn't know, we do have a Discord. Great place to submit listener questions. The first one comes from K-Moore, who has the gall. How dare you? No, the question is, would you guys consider redoing your review for Hellskate? For those of you who don't know, we reviewed a game called Hellskate. Obviously, but that is a dungeon crawler skateboarding game.
Roguelike.
Skateboarding. Yeah, skateboarding. Okay,
yeah.
But dungeon crawling elements in there.
Yeah.
To save myself, I can't help but feel that you were too harsh on it, and it's got pretty good reviews overall. Anyways, that was the first early access game we reviewed, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Well, I think we're harsh on every game. All right, Kmore, this is a grueling process here. Every week is torture having to dig into these games and give our opinions. Now, I think if we were ever to re-review Hellskate, it would have to be when it went into 1.0, which I don't know when that is planned. I imagine at some point next year would be my guess. But yeah, I mean, I would be open to doing a re-review of Hell's Gate. I don't think we were personally too harsh. I feel like we're like, we're always honest with what we're feeling, but it was our first early access game, so we didn't really have, or at least first early access game we reviewed on the show. So we were still learning kind of also how to review early access, right? And kind of what disclaimers to put on some of the things we were saying. But yeah, I don't know. I think for me, like Hell's Gate also almost like the core of Hell's Gate was something I wasn't really vibing with too well. So I don't know if a re-review would really change my mind too much. I might bump it a little bit higher up, but I don't think it would reach like certified fresh juice for me. But who knows? I mean, I think I personally, Tom, would be open to re-reviewing it if it hit 1.0 at some point. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for it. 1.0. I'm trying to see if they have a like a roadmap, but
Yeah,
I'm not seeing one in this quick glance. But yeah, I'm totally down. I mean, listen, there were some glaring issues with that game when we reviewed it, and I'm sure it's all actually been shored up since then. And um, I'm sorry I was harsh on the game. And no, I think that yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun to kind of re-review 1.0. We'll probably do a couple of those, to be honest.
yeah,
But thanks for the question, K Moore. We're open and honest, and we'll do it.
we are.
Capolo asks, with Lego Horizon Adventures recently released, which Lego indie video game would you like to see?
Oh man, I was just looking through ones we've reviewed on here. I don't really think any of them will make a great. I mean, I'm looking at like certified fresh juices. I don't think any of them would make a great Lego game because I always viewed Lego games as like a third person adventure, and we haven't really reviewed a lot of them. But I could be wrong. Maybe there's other types of Lego games too. But I know Horizon is one of them. I will say a non indie game that I would like to see is Elden Ring.
Oh
I
yeah.
think that'd be awesome as a Lego game. But yeah, I don't know, Tom. You thinking anything that's indie that you would like to see as Lego?
I think Celeste would be sweet.
Hmm.
Hades would be hilarious, I think. Cuphead would be really neat to see how they did it.
Yeah,
Out of games we played, Cocoon, I think, would actually make for a pretty. It's already kind of got the Lego gamey kind of like physics to it already, so
yeah.
it would kind of make sense. Um, there, Vampire Survivors. Give us a Lego Survivors.
Ooh, yeah, that would be cool.
That would actually be sick. Holy smokes! Could you
Yeah,
imagine like all like the best part of those Lego games is when you like kill something or destroy it, and the little
yeah, yep.
comes to you, and you got a billion of that coming in. Oh wow,
Yeah, little one by ones.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
those would be my picks there.
Nice.
Enter
Good
the
question,
gungeon.
though.
Yeah, enter the gungeon maybe. That'd be sweet as well. Yeah, great question, Capolo. And then last question comes from my my wife, our carp, who asked, "What's better, being married or dating?" Depends on the who. I'll tell you. um, I think. Well, listen, I'm a weekend. Married's pretty cool. Previous year stint of being married, not so cool. Um, and dating recently was pretty cool too. So I'm thinking all of the above. What about you, Matt?
Both at the same time. Um, yeah, no, being married is the answer I will give.
Hell yeah, that's actually the right
Um,
answer. Yes.
yeah, because when we got married, like we got a house and like and we got a dog and all that stuff. Like we were dating, that we probably wouldn't have a house together.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's nothing wrong with that, but yeah, so I'll go with being married. I love it. I love Love it. I love these questions. They're so good.
It's hard to like answer that one and not sound like you're making a joke.
Yeah. Me
No,
and
it's
Tom were
awesome.
just hopefully Arcarb's not watching the stream because we were just like being married. Yeah, it was great.
Help.
Yeah.
Anyway, that does bring us to the Rec Room where we recommend something that perhaps isn't an indie game. What do you have to recommend this week?
All right, so I am channeling my inner white boy here, and I am recommending the new Kendrick Lamar album called GNX, which I think he just shadow dropped. I think it was actually maybe the day of your wedding too, because I remember just seeing it like the next morning. But yeah, I've never like historically been like a big Kendrick guy. I've listened to a few of his songs and they're good. For those who don't know, I like to listen to hip hop. So obviously he had that like big beef with Drake or whatever, which was like fun to watch or whatever, even though I don't know, after beefs and stuff happen, after a certain point, I'm just like, all right, like now you're just doing it just for the popularity and so people keep talking about it. But anyway, so kind of started listening then a bit more and listening to his old stuff a bit more. A really talented guy, and he comes out with this new album GNX, which just has some great tracks on it. So not even just like some like great lyricism and all that, but just really like great vibes. He's got like some awesome like beats on this album that like I could just like take an edible and just like I don't know, go on like a midnight walk or something, and like it would just be just a great vibe. So yeah, really overall, like pretty impressed with the album. I feel like typically when artists come out with like something after they've been like, everyone was talking about them and they release something, it's usually not that good because people's expectations are so high that like anything that you're going to release right after kind of a big controversy or like a like the beef or whatever they were in. Usually he's not going to live up to those expectations, but this is really just a really great album. So I'm recommending GNX. There's a great song called Luther on there. I think it's got a good vibe to it. Heart Part 6, another great one as well. And the one I can't stop listening to is, oh God, I forget the name of it, even though I keep listening to it. It is called Gloria. Really great writing, then kind of tells this whole story. And then at the end, there's like a reveal of what the story was about, which is pretty cool. So, great track. Anyway, so enough of me talking about Kendrick, but check it out. If you like hip hop, it's a really great album and some great tracks on there. GNX.
Kendrick. You are like us. You are like us.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's pretty sick. I'll have to check it out. I listen to some Kendrick from time to time.
Yeah. You would like Luther a lot. I think you would like that song.
Right.
It's got a good vibe to it. Got Luther Vandross in the beginning.
That makes sense.
Always good.
I was actually just about to ask that.
Yep.
Luther Vandross. You said that a little interesting. Luther Vandross.
Luther Vandross.
I always thought it was Luther Vandross.
Really?
Comment below.
Yeah, I've never heard that. You could be right. I mean, what do I know?
Because you're pronouncing like Van Halen.
Yeah,
I'm pronouncing like Vandross. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm recommending two things today. The first is a EP. A nice dungeon synth EP.
Nice.
Which is pretty sick if you don't mind me saying. It is by Witchbolt, and the EP is Piece of the Wild Things. I had to double check the name before I said it. The Piece of the Wild Things by Witchbolt, particularly the Wayseer arrangement.
What is happening? What's going on here?
The link
Are you speaking in tongues?
The link will be somewhere. I posted the link in our show notes, so you have it. It's really such a nice little just listening sesh. It's about a little gnome, right?
It's a story?
Well, no, there's a story behind, like, it's like behind what's happening, right? It's a concept album, right? So each track is part of this story, and there's a little gnome that is wandering. It's all about wandering and exploring, and this little gnome is wandering through the woods and finds a like a crown, like a king's crown on the ground, and it's like really big compared to this gnome, and kind of pondering what the heck is going on with this crown. Listen, it's good fun. Like,
cool.
Pop it on and play it like a fantasy game, and you'll be freaking loving it, dude. I think it's so sick. Everything by Witchbolt, actually, that is very, very good stuff. Now, the other less hipstery kind of recommendation is the Great British Baking Show,
yes.
which we've been watching a lot of, actually, lately. The newest season, oof, man, it's just so much fun. It's relaxing. You're like, you kind of like everybody, but there's some people you hate, and you're just like, I hope they make really bad cakes this episode because I don't want them out of there. And then there's people you like, and then they get voted off, and you're like, that's really sad, but they're like really nice about it. So, it's a good show if you like baking.
Did you finish this season?
Nah, not yet. I think
Okay.
1 or 2 more episodes. We're at the
I'll
semifinals.
tell you when we tell you who wins.
No, don't do that. Did you watch?
Yeah. We actually because I download the episodes, and I guess it releases in Britain first before it's released in the US. So we get the episodes like 2 days early.
Whoa.
So we've had to make sure that we don't because Maria will text some of the girls and talk about it. She has to make sure she doesn't do it too early or whatever. And we didn't realize that at first until we accidentally spoiled something that happened. But yeah, great show. Really, I mean, we've been watching it for a good while. And definitely recommend, if you haven't seen the older seasons, to go back and watch them because they're just as good. The quality is just always great, even when the host change or the host change. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's good fun, and honestly, the my wife watches a lot of Love Island, and she waits till it's on Hulu, but our friend Gary and my sister watch it on a VPN because they're nuts, and they need to see Love Island before everybody else. And so they'll ask my wife, oh, did you see this part? No, that's you're 2 weeks ahead. Anyway, I don't care. Listen, folks.
Who do you think is going to win the Great British Baking Show?
I think I'm Georgie. Georgie is probably is really looking good going into the last part. Dylan is looking good as well. Christian could be a dark horse.
Yeah.
But I think his flavors are a little crazy, but I like that. So he's being just good enough so far to make it as far as he has, and don't give me any visual cues, but I think that he's gonna turn it on. I'm hoping he turns it on and gets that right flavor combo, and they're like, finally, you did it. You made the best flavor combo of all time. But I don't know. But that Dylan kid's really talented. So
yeah, and he's adorable. He looks
really adorable.
Like he could be like an elf or something. Or
if Jason Momoa got transformed into an elf.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway.
We need this. I guess we're gonna start a podcast on the Great British Baking Show.
Wait, what would be the Great British Baking Show?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, here's another rec room while we're at it. First of all, the AEW stuff with the Rizzler and the Costco guys, of course. We already went over that. We covered that. That was big news. But Haley Welch, the Hawk Tua girl, as she has become known, got a podcast called Talk to.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
Now there is a two comedians that are doing full episodes of Talk to, where they cover Talk to, and it's honestly that satire for that long to be able to just sit there and be that satirical is an art, and it's just so funny. And yeah, check that out as well. I haven't watched a full episode. I've just been watching clips, but
yeah,
pretty sick. Now,
yeah, great.
We gotta get out of here. I gotta go tend to my cows.
Oh, okay, all right. I don't know what that means. I have no idea. Is that the bathroom? Is that actual cows?
Dinner, I think.
Okay.
But you can continue to find me on everywhere at Fresh Buds Pod. I have another podcast called Fresh and Buds where I talk about the indie card game Flesh and Blood, and it's a good fun over there. Matthew, where can people find you?
Find me at Matty Gorm on all the socials and everything. And also, just as an FYI, next week's episode might look a little different. We're going to be trying out some different software and stuff. It might look a little better. So I
might be in a different room.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, that's part of the software. It's one of the features. Switch rooms. Yeah. So just as an FYI, people.
Don't get scared.
Yep, it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Did you say where people can find you? I didn't hear.
Yes, I did. Yeah, Matty Gorm. Matty Gorm. Go tend to your cows, all right? Just go tend to your cows.
And that Fresh Juice Pod everywhere. Please stay fresh. Yeah, juice head.